Hello students, myself Dr. Chayabhyam. In this video, let's look into daisy chain interrupt vectoring using priority encoder and DMA. Daisy chain interrupt method. It's nothing but connecting all the devices that can request an interrupt in a serial manner. In this method, it uses acknowledge signal, okay, which has to be propagated throughout the device until it is blocked by interrupting device. So here basically there is two types of signals, that is IEI. IEI is interrupt enable input. Interrupt enable input, and one more signal that is YEO, which signifies interrupt enable output. So this daisy chain algorithm or a method has three different conditions. The first condition is when IEI is equal to 1 and IEO is equal to 1, it signifies that there is no interrupt condition. There is no interrupt condition from any of the devices. So similarly, when if IEI is equal to 1 and IEIO is equal to 0, it says that device is requesting an interrupt. So we have one more condition to analyze, that is IEI is equal to 0 and IEO, obviously it will be 0. It says that it should not respond to any interrupt signals. Any interrupt acknowledge signal. Let's see one example of daisy chain interrupt method based on these conditions. Daisy chain interrupt vectoring example is shown in this figure. In the first example, we can notice that we have placed 4 devices. Device 1, 2, 3 are connected in a serial manner, wherein every device is having 2 signals, that is IEI and IEO. IEI is interrupt enable input, interrupt enable output. We can notice that all the signals are high, which means that there is no interrupt signal is being raised from any of the devices. That's the reason we tell it as no interrupt condition. In the second example, we can notice that device 2 has the high signal and low. IEI is high and IEO is low, which means that the device 2 is requested an interrupt. And this device needs response to an interrupt acknowledgement signal. So while this is servicing, so the next step shows that one more device 1 also raising an interrupt. So because device 1 is of highest priority compared to device 2, hence device 1 should be serviced first. So while this is under service, the one which was interrupted just before device 1, which is device 2, will be suspended for a while. So hence both the signals will be low. IEI will be low and IEO is also low. So here we can understand that 2 devices are raising a request. However, the highest priority one will be serviced first. In the fourth step, we can understand that since device 1 was highest priority, this request is being serviced, and now the one which is in a queue is device 2. So now this will be under service. So after it's been serviced, the signals will automatically become high, and the one which is under service, we can notice that IEI is high and IEO is low. So now this is being serviced. So after which the control will return back to the main program, and you can see that all the signals are high, which signifies that there is no more instruction to be executed, or no more interrupt is being raised by any of these devices. So basically the advantage of daisy chain algorithm or a method is that it is very simple in terms of connecting computers or nodes, and it has an enhanced scalability. That means it can add any number of modes or devices anywhere along the daisy chain. So the disadvantage is that the use of daisy chain signal also limits the bus speed. Direct memory access, we simply call it as an DMA. So DMA is the one which is designed to transfer data at a faster rate. Suppose there is a transfer which has to be taken place between IO to memory. So it will be usually done using 2 machine cycles. The first transfer is from IO to CPU and the second transfer will be from CPU to memory. So if there is a transfer of information, data transfer between IO and the memory, we should see that there is no CPU involvement. Hence, DMA is just designed to transfer data at faster rate to and from the memory without directly involving the CPU. So direct memory access involves a DMA controller to do such data transfers. So at the outset we have to tell that DMA is not involving a CPU in order to transfer the data. There are 3 methods in DMA. The first method is burst mode. In this mode, during data transfer, the DMA controller takes complete control of system buses. I repeat, the DMA controller, which is helping to transfer data from IO to memory, is taking complete control of the CPU system buses. So in that cases, so what happens, CPU goes to a waiting state or an idle state. So the CPU is not allowed to do any processing during the time of data transfer between IO to memory. So CPU is not doing any processing when there is a transfer between IO to memory in case of burst mode. So this method usually it will be favorable to the DMA controller, but it will not be favorable to CPU because CPU is not allowed to do any processing. So this mode can definitely affect the response time of RTS or real-time system to an external event, because all the system buses is being surrendered by the DMA controller. Any request or any event arises from the real-time system, it will not be affected. So hence it will not be solved. You cannot even respond to such events because CPU is in idle state. So next method is distributed mode. In this method, DMA controller make use of occasional machine cycles from CPU. So in the distributed mode, I repeat, it only uses the occasional machine cycles from CPU. In that cases, we can understand that the CPU is now available to do some useful work. Sometimes how it is in real-time systems, there will be some software timing loops which is required to keep time, so to complete that particular timing loop. So but the program will be unaware of this machine cycles used by the DMA controller. So that can be one disadvantage of distributed system, wherever real-time system is using software timing loops. So in that cases, that portion of machine cycles will be unaware by the program that is being used by the DMA controller. Cycle stealing method. In this method, DMA controller only transfers data during cycles when CPU is not using the data bus. Sometimes some portion of the machine cycles is not at all used by the CPU. It only steals that bus cycles or machine cycles, and this DMA controller uses those machine cycles to transfer the data. So once the system buses are stolen by CPU, the DMA controller comes in waiting stage and keeps checking for buses. So this method is completely favorable for CPU. So these are the various methods used in direct memory access. Thank you.